This is Songwriters Room, and I'm your host, Tomoko. Today's guest is Deb Silver. Born into a family of talented musicians, Deb Silver is an impeccable jazz vocalist, singer-songwriter, and composer currently living in Palm Beach, Florida. She is also a performer, writer, and producer of musical theaters. Her comedic and romantic musical, This Life, sold out for 3 weeks at the New York Off Broadway Theater in Times Square Arts Center and is preparing for national tours in the near future. She also gave a successful sneak preview of her latest album titled In Spring to the Prince William's VIP guests at Kensington Palace in London, UK. She is the founder and director of the Silver Voice Method in the Nature Voice Studio, teaching vocal techniques and performance workshops to students worldwide. Deb will give you buy one and get one free session. Can I get a whoop whoop? Whoop whoop. Ladies and gents, please welcome Deb Silver.
Hi, Tomoko.
Hi, Deb. Could you please give us something so we can get a little taste of your geniusness, please?
I've been out in space for such a long time, floating around the galaxies alone. Desperate, I need to find a lifeline, some way I can feel at home. Now this heart of mine is beaming like a radar, and it's sending out a message to the ones who care. Is there anybody out there? Sing along if you can hear me. Anybody out there? Are you searching for the same thing? Will you find me on the Milky Way and say that we'll stay together? Oh, is anybody out there?
Beautiful chorus progression, beautiful voice, beautiful everything. I just have to stop you there because, you know, you're going to give a whole Facebook Live thing. So
yeah, you did say 15 seconds, didn't you? It's just like,
thank you so much. Deb, I listened to your album In Spring, and you flow with such ease. A very intricate jazz melody and harmony. It kind of reminded me of Manhattan Transfer.
ooh.
Yeah, I know you grew up in such a musical family, and I'm always jealous of that sort of environment because back in Japan, nobody else in my family had anything to do with music, let alone speak English. But how was it like for you growing up?
It was more like you were expected to do your bit, you know, to really have a clear tone and pitch. I interviewed my sister, and she was always on the melody, and I was always like the low harmony, like the fifth. And so when you say you hear Manhattan Transfer, we did 5-part harmonies, like in my family, that me and my brother would arrange. And
Are you serious?
yeah, it was beautiful because families have a tonality and a
Yeah.
resonance that's like it's a magical thing. If you go to my website, thislifethemusical.com, you can hear me with my brother on some of the tracks there, and there's definitely a thing. It's like a zhuzh that you get, you know. But anyway, we were talking about the relegations that we had. We had sort of roles, you know. My sister and my mum would more be like the lead because they didn't harmonize, and me and my brother were always like the harmony, and we were the writers. But now my sister writes and she harmonizes, you know. But when you're in it's like being in a band. You know, you don't want the bass player going and playing the keyboard really, unless it's kind of a showbiz thing. And so we were kind of in a, I wouldn't say relegated, but it just fell into place and kind of stayed that way for a long time. And we had a tour bus. We went on tours and we did stuff and raised money for charities. So
Everybody in your family is a musician and the singers?
yeah. If you go to my website, debsilver.com, you can see the whole story, like the story of what happened and how we got where we are. We're all in America now. We're all Americans, thank God.
That's fantastic. And you know, I heard that you used to play at the Zinc Bar. I used to love that little spot on the Houston Street in New York. I lived there for 14 years, so I might have seen you there. Do you remember what year were you playing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, before it moved, I was there 9 years from like 1996 through 2006. Maybe I did see you there.
Maybe we have met already.
I was there every Monday night, mostly, once a month at least, right before Ron Afif, you know, the great guitarist.
Yes, you played with some really great musicians.
Yeah, very lucky. I got my booty kicked.
What about your music production on your CD? Who's the producers? It's the beautiful production.
Thank you. Me. I'm the producer, and I had a co-producer who was really the engineer called Chris Abel, but he was not an instrumentalist as much as the sound. You know, he did great engineering, great sound, and was a wonderful sounding board. And the musicians, you know, we did one rehearsal, you know, before we went into the studio, maybe two on a couple of songs. And it was very much in the spirit of a live band, which led to some squabbles in the studio, which you really don't want. You know, I'll tell you that now. If you can rehearse it, great. But we wanted that jazzy, you know, freedom element to see what happens. And also, I mean, I got lucky enough to play with Lou Soloff on the album, who was from Blood, Sweat and Tears. He's passed away now. And also Jeff Lee Johnson, who was Shaka Khan's guitarist for a long time. He also passed away, unfortunately. That was, my album was the last album he was on. These guys just come in, they don't listen to the song, they don't learn anything, they don't have a chord chart, they just blow, you know.
Right.
And I'll tell you a funny story which you'll love. Lou Soloff is like this old, short, Jewish, hilarious guy in New York, real old school from Blood, Sweat and Tears time. And, you know, spinning wheel, what goes up must come down. Big horn section, awesome horn section. So he comes in to do the couple of songs, and in the middle of one of the songs that he did, which was the blues song, where he's just talking to me like I'm singing this blues, Permission for the Blues, and he's like talking to me with the horn, and I'm doing everything I can do to not like lose it in there. He goes in a pair of jeans into the booth, jeans and a t-shirt, and his hair all messed up. He comes out in a tuxedo, like he's just cut the song. He's been dancing while he's been playing.
What?
And comes out like in this total like penguin suit because he has to go to do a wedding gig. That's the characters. Like those guys were amazing.
That's amazing. Very New York too.
Right on. Yeah.
You don't know what happens until you get to the gig, and you think you're prepared, but that's jazz.
You got to go with the flow. And sometimes, you know, that one song that he was on, like we ended it, but the ending was really so crazy. That's probably when he was changing. I don't know, it all fell apart at the end. And then a couple of the musicians were like arguing about it actually in the recording. So we were thinking we were going to do another one. Well, we ran out of time, didn't we? So we just kind of faded it out, and it actually works. It actually works really well. So.
I interviewed Wycliffe Gordon, the best trombone player. He said improvisation is improve every moment, you know?
Ooh, that's great. I never heard that before.
Me either. You have not just jazz, but done it all. I mean, all genres, and you such a versatile all-around singer and musician. But in your journey, what would you say the most challenging thing that you experienced as far as living your dreams in the music business?
Me too.
I testify. Can't say the names, but
Woo!
many in New York City is the famous names.
Right?
Woo!
Yeah. It was an interesting time. I mean, this was like my career really was, career-wise, it was during the 90s. So at that time, there were some very, very, very powerful people in positions. There still is, but you know, they were the managers, they were the A&R people, they were the promoters, and they were the publishers, the songwriters. And you know, I had a publishing deal with Warner Chappell offered to me, but there was so much sexual weirdness around the offer. It was almost like if I'd have taken it, it would have been like being a prostitute and not shagging somebody. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
You know, and saying, no, I'm sorry, get out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a weird thing to say, but it was so loaded. Anyway, my brother and I are very big co-writers together. We've written a lot of songs. And we wrote my sister's album, which was with Mercury Records at the time of Tony, and all those guys, and Black
Madonna.
Shoes. Yeah,
no, that's not. Yeah.
It was a great time to be in the business, actually, because there was some fantastic talent around. My brother and I wrote for the whole album, and then right prior to the album getting released, we were trying to do the deal. My brother signed to Warner Chappell, and I decided not to. So they only got half of the song catalog, if you know what I'm saying. And a big disgruntlement to them, and it was a disgruntlement to me too. But I was just free to go, you know. There was a requirement, and there was, I'm not sure what the other requirement was. No, I'm pretty sure what it was. Anyway, yeah, it was a very interesting time, and it was good to, you know, with writing, it's always great to have a goal. So the album was the goal, and for me, when I was writing the musical This Life, you know, 23 songs later, there was a musical. I love writing to deadline. Like, I used to ghostwrite for Warner Chappell before they signed me. And they would send me to, like, some people, I won't say who, but they would send me to their houses to, like, finish. They were like, finish the lyric, finish it up. Song doctor, they used to call me, and send the song doctor in. I love that. It's almost like a little bit of an anxiety, and that's my sort of professional show up, you know, get it done. But I also have my own freedom to take as long as I like with my own material. But when it's for somebody else, it's always sort of like, you got to get the food on the table, you know?
Yes. It's sad, and guys in power think that they can, you know what I mean?
I don't know. I think if I was a guy and I was in power, I'd probably feel the same way. Because invariably, it's the pretty girls or the young, you know, trying to be sexy, skinny, whatever, you know, that are trying to make it in the biz. And the people that, you know, if you're a guy and you're cute and you're nice and you're not necessarily, I think, drawn to the world of, you know, A&R and publishing. I don't know. I mean, it's just, I think I understand men a little bit. I mean, I think that it's time for a revolution, of course. But, you know, Tomoko, I mean, this is a whole different topic, but when women, as strong as we are and as intelligent as we are, as equal as we are in many ways, are trying to make the daily bread and haul in the oxen and the hides, you know, which is what we're doing. That's what I'm doing. I'm single. I think it changes the dynamic so much that sometimes the guys, they're going to have to either go this way, they're going to have to acquiesce, which I think a lot of the younger guys are doing, or they're going to have to power over. And that's my experience. And I think it's a confusing time to be a guy. Certainly not confusing for women, because all we're trying to do is like make our bacon, make our statement, have our voices be heard. And I've never felt like a feminist, because, I mean, I grew up with Margaret Thatcher. I was like, okay, so if a woman can run the country, like, What's the big deal?
Okay, I hear that. Now let's get to the craft of songwriting. I hope you enjoyed part 1. Please continue to watch part 2 about songwriting as well. And don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell to get notified about new videos of Songwriters Room, my new music, or Japanese series. Arigato!